Cut the music. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode. We're continuing down our musical rabbit hole. Many people often send comments in about the wonderful theme tune that we've got that started this whole podcast shtick. That was from Robert John Collins. His link is always in the description wherever that ends up when you're listening to this, so you can source some of his wonderful tunes as well. He made this special for the podcast itself. It's an original piece and it's wonderful. I love it. Bob, how you doing? How's your week been? How's your world?
Yeah, it's good. I had something which I'd like to share, which happened this week. I was on a phone call with a Zoom call with someone, and they was actually complimentary about this, what we're doing and everything. And then they said to me, and it was a little bit, one of those questions where, yeah, I know what you're gonna, is it okay if I ask you a question? So I said, yeah, it's fine. I said, is that really your son on there with you? And I then it's dawned on me, my son's name is Ben, and so they automatically assumed that you were my son. So I was very offended because that makes me very old.
Well, you heard it here first. Family dramas unpacked. We've pulled back the EastEnders curtain. We're not actually related. Well, I mean, I'm proud for, however briefly, to have been an honorary member of the family. So, ladies and gentlemen, for tonight, I believe it's fair to say that you can learn more about a person in 3 songs than maybe in 3 hours of conversation to keep the literacy part going. Not because music is a personality test, far from it, but because it's more of a nervous system readout that way around. Every choice, what someone plays, when they play it, what they skip, what they repeat, what they've stopped listening to, it's neurological data that's very much dressed up as taste, right? The last time we looked at music, last week, we asked what it made us, right? This time we're very much going to go a little bit further to ask more what it reveals about us, because once you understand the neuroscience underneath, music stops being the background and it becomes one of the most precise behavioral instruments available. And most people are broadcasting on it constantly without knowing. Bob, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, a couple of things really. I was thinking about this after last week coming on here is that to me, music is the most honest thing people reveal about themselves without knowing it. And another
Yeah.
thing that I was drawn to is Moby, the Jason Bourne theme and all that sort of thing. And he
Yeah.
actually said, and I got this through doing a search on the internet while I was researching. He says, "Show me your top 10 tracks, and I'll show you your emotional architecture."
Well, that's nice.
And I think, yeah. And when you think of it, he works in a genre where they go through the drop, which is the
Yeah.
dopamine hit and everything.
Mm.
So I think that he's a very intelligent guy, actually.
Yeah.
I listened to the whole interview with him, and it was very enlightening.
Intelligence doesn't guarantee influence. If you can't communicate and do so clearly, your ideas die in translation. Productive communications teaches you how to understand behavior, how to navigate tension, and how to create real clarity in conversation. No manipulation, no scripts, just behavioral insight applied correctly. So if you want fewer misunderstandings and more control in conversation, go to omniscient-insights.com/procoms or right here.
Absolutely. And I think specifically with DJs like Moby, Fatboy Slim, and a bunch of others. Apologies for the fans of the zone. It's not my musical forte area with dance music, but I'm aware of those guys. You really have to have not just an appreciation for music, but an understanding of the different levels and how it seeps together to create the moments that the audience is experience. But raises something in terms of this idea of why a song that breaks its own pattern feels so satisfying, and what that tells us about how the mind actually works, because the brain isn't a passive receiver. It's a prediction engine. Every time you hear music, your brain is generating a continuous model of what comes next, the next beat, the next chord, the next resolution. And something that I found out in my research around this was a neuroscientist called David Huron, or Huron, Huron, however that's pronounced. He has an ITPRA theory: imagination, tension, prediction, reaction, appraisal. And it maps exactly how the brain moves through musical expectation in real time. And I don't know if you've seen people testing their musical knowledge with the Whitney Houston cover of "I Will Always Love You." I presume you know the song. Yeah. So there's the bit in the middle where it goes quiet just before the break, when the drum hits up, and she does the big note. The challenge is for people to hit the drum or tap their leg or stamp their feet or whatever it is, but on time.
Right.
Most people, including drummers and percussionists, most people fail, and it's an interesting exposure of this dynamic. It comes from the moment the prediction is confirmed or violated. It's why musical taste is a window into cognitive style. Someone drawn to predictable structures, repetitive beats, familiar chord progressions might have a nervous system that finds comfort in confirmed expectation. Someone who gravitates towards jazz, polyrhythm, dissonance, might be seeking the tension of the unresolved. And as part of my job, and yours by extension, one of the things that we have to do is sit in ambiguous information, is not immediately try and resolve the things that we're observing or assign it some hypothesis that rings true. And these kinds of comparisons are interesting to draw when you think about it this way.
Yeah. And you can sort of categorize people, like you say, there's those who like predictability. And then I suppose I'm trying to think of a word for the others. Let's say novelty. And so the novelty people are the ones that like things that are different, and where the structure isn't repeated, the pop song type scenario. And then the predictability ones are the ones who go for that because it's like with the rhythms of their knowledge of music and how they expect it to be. I'll always remember David Bowie when he did the Low album. One of the things he did, there's a song in it called Sound and Vision, which was a hit. But he actually, I think it was Brian Eno, who, as you know, I really admire. I think he was behind that. They cut it up, didn't they? And if you listen to it, it's all out of sequence. The vocals come in at the end. And it worked because it made people curious, but it was also, if you'd have put it in the right order, it was a very just functional, it wasn't a great song, it was a functional pop song. But he made it very interesting by the way it was cut up. And that would appeal, I would suggest, that may appeal to both the predictability and the novelty, because it's novelty in a way it's put together, but it's predictable in that it's got the structure of a pop song.
I
think it hit both. It's a really interesting thing, and the more I look into this, the more, because you talked about Whitney Houston. Now that's a unique song because it's got a reverse drop, hasn't it?
Yes.
The drop is usually where it goes down and then comes back up again, but that's on the level, and then you've got the, like you say, the drum beat, and then the wailing cat after it.
Absolutely, and like a great way to illustrate our own individual neurological connection to music. And I'm biased in saying this because I am a drummer, but there was a series of videos that drummers on the internet would do, called drummer controls the feeling, or drummer controls whatever it is, and they're playing like different time signatures, or different different basic polyrhythms, playing a samba over some standard punk stuff, and like all of these kinds of creations slammed together to create different feelings. And there's a couple of Iron Maiden songs where like the standard bah 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 bah, but playing the snare drum just slightly after the moment, and it's almost painful to listen to. But it made me think about whether what someone plays alone is different from what they play in public, right? Like the private playlist is the uncensored one in that situation, and the gap between the two, that's where the real information lives. People very often, not all people, of course, but people very often create a kind of musical public identity carefully. What they might play at a dinner party, or what they list as their favorite artists, what they post. That's a performed taste. Doesn't mean that they don't like it. That's just a foot that they are more comfortable in putting forwards. It's social signaling filtered through identity management. The private playlist, that's the thing that operates differently. And like the best example I ever found of this was a guy who had he had a gym playlist, he had a chores playlist, he had a working playlist, he had a driving playlist, and they were all like singular different collections. Like his workout stuff was the rock and roll and the heavier kind of things. Driving was a little bit more contemplative, and these comparisons, these compartmentalized ideas of who he thought he wanted to connect to in each of these moments was really indicative, and it gives you a great insight into his projection of his own life through looking at like 4 or 5 named playlists on his Spotify account. It was very direct.
And thinking about that, what you just said, it's like we have playlists for different, just like we have behaviors, we have masks for different situations, and you could say we have playlists. And it's like it's prediction of what environment you're going to be in and what would fit with it. So thrash metal while you're having a meal isn't going to be as good as like the yacht rock in the background.
That's it.
And so I think like behavior, and that's what we're here for, is that it's not binary. It's not, it's this or this. And I think people, we are social, so we do look to maybe fit in, but we're also tribal, aren't we? And there's certain music that we would see as fitting with another tribe that we wouldn't want, even if we admire some of it, we wouldn't want to be part of. For that very reason, it's part of it. It's not our tribe. I think that certainly, and I think I mentioned it last time, is I find it a bit of a coping mechanism. I say that not just for extremes, but when I'm working, I have to have music on. And if I'm at home and my wife is around, I have to keep moving around because she doesn't like it. And she gets her comfort from the TV. She likes to have the TV on more than I do. And I think from that point of view, it tells us a lot about people, doesn't it? It tells us a lot about people without, like I said earlier, without them actually telling you. It's a good non-committal way, or non-intrusive way, should I say, not non-committal, of identifying what people are, who people really are. But what I have found is I do in some of my trainings, and I'm thinking back now, I talk to people and I'm trying to show people conversations, and so we have one. I don't do role play because I don't think role play works, but so I just have a conversation with someone, and one of my questions always is this, well, what type of music do you like? And someone just said to me, I don't like music. And and that's music avoidance. It tells you a lot more about people than than they can actually imagine. Because why are they not? Because we all listen to music, we all hear it in supermarkets everywhere. When they're put on the spot and asked that question, what is it that's it's a defense mechanism, isn't it? I think so. Maybe it triggers bad memories.
That was my first thought.
Yeah.
Something so, not that everybody has to like music, but something so universally appreciated, for somebody to go, no, I don't like any of it, denies the possibility of any enjoyment of something that could come forward. So it would be like saying, if you have, I don't know, a bad piece of chocolate cake, that you don't like all cake. Like that's clearly a protective idea. And like with this, the investigative principle is simple. You don't ask you don't ask them what their favorite music is. That's a leading question. It's too closed. It would be like, what kind of music do you like? What do you put on when no one's around? These kinds of, what do you work out to? What do you drive to? These types of things that give you a more of a connection to the environment. And the gap between those things, if there is one, tells you something about the distance between who they present and who they are. So this idea of the masks ringing true, which relates to something that we were mentioning beforehand, in terms of rhythm entrainment. It's compliance that you as a human being don't necessarily know that you agreed to. What happens neurologically when your heartbeat synchronizes with a beat, and like who's using that against you? Like if you think of the opening of songs like Thriller, again, whether you enjoy the music or not, it starts with a but, and then the footsteps go on time, and then the footsteps come into the drum beat as well, and it's all collected with this neural entrainment being the brain's tendency to synchronize. It's I think it's called oscillatory activity with your external rhythmic stimuli. It's the way that I like to prove that I can control minds, and I can say that categorically, is for most people when I go da 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 da.
Here's the truth: clarity under pressure isn't natural; it's trained. Axiom is a cognitive framework, one that is designed to improve your reasoning, to improve your memory, and then the subsequent decision making that goes along with that. Not theory focused, not just inspirational quotes, mental architecture. So if you want to think clearly and do so when it counts, go to omniscient-insights.com/axiom, or right there. Because in chaos, the clear thinker wins.
Most people in their heads finish it off.
Yeah.
That's the entrainment.
It's a similar thing, like a visual form of the words, isn't it? Don't think of a pink elephant. Everyone you have to think of a pink elephant to not think of it. So it's a similar thing, isn't it? It's your brain. Your brain is filling in the gaps, which it does all the time.
All the time. And I think that's. I would need to fact check this, but it makes sense based on the science that we're talking about. It's why military marches work. It's why protest chants are effective. It's why football songs are great at rousing. Why certain retail environments might make you move faster without you noticing. But it was the neuroscientist Nina Kraus showing that rhythmic entrainment is not metaphorical. It's measurable, it's physical, and it's involuntary. So from a behavioral intelligence standpoint, the tempo of any environment is an invisible instruction. Like, have you ever been walking behind someone that's walking too slow? It annoys everyone I've ever met. It's an idea. Anyone who controls the rhythm of a space, the proverbial music in a room, the pacing of a speech, the beat of a presentation, whatever it is, they are influencing nervous system state before a single word of content lands.
Yeah. And on that, closing off, other thing that I got to learn through my research for this is the fact that lyrics and instrumental tracks will hit different processors. So lyrics go through verbal processing, whereas instrumental is more sensory. And and I think that's the enduring leg why classical music has lived on, because it's very emotional, isn't it? And you can think of the really bombastic and the last night of the proms and everything, and then the music comes before the lyrics, and how that is just a massive dopamine hit just there and then. And I suppose it is a type of a drop, because music, like all behavior and all patterns that we have, even the modern trance music or dance music, if you looked at it and took it back, it would probably, in structure, it would mirror the rhythmic of classical music, like that, the Royal Britannia and whatever the other one is that they do, and they all bop up and down and all that sort of thing. I can't remember what it's called. Is it not Sense and Sensibility? I can't remember what it's called. There's another one, isn't there?
There is
another one.
Yeah. But the one that popped out to me when you mentioned classical was the film Die Hard. I don't know if the action scenes would have been as profound were it not for Ode to Joy. I think it's Beethoven. I need fact checking on that, but it's called Ode to Joy. And like there's several reasons as to why they picked that, with the whole Japanese connection, but that whole rousing orchestral moment when the vault door opens, how someone uses music to regulate tells you how they handle distress when no one's watching. That's this. If you use music to manage emotional state, it's a sophisticated self-regulation behavior. That's really all it is.
It's linked, isn't it, in your brain? It's hippocampus, memories, and then the emotion attached to it. I mean, just before we go, I'll say to you, Ride of the Valkyries, what do you think of?
Apocalypse Now.
There you go. And all those napalm and whatever.
Right. It's a great song. And there's I mean I can't communicate it as well, but because I don't know what it's called. It's mostly lyrics that I can't understand when the guy sings it, and it starts with a guitar riff. It's on every war movie. It's in Apocalypse Now. It's that that's how it opens. But I'm not going to do it. It's a great song. It was the same thing. Ride of the Valkyries, the same thing. But I'm gonna kick myself when someone tells me in the comments.
The only other song that I know from Apocalypse Now is Buffalo Springfield, and I can't remember what it's called. Stop, Look Around, or whatever. The anti-Vietnam song they play in it.
That's the one.
Yeah. Well, it's been a joy, Ben, and I'm going to make a suggestion. Maybe next time we should look about, now we know this, how can we use this to form better relationships with other people? Maybe do another one of these on actually implementing this alongside other skills to get better relationships, to help people be the best versions of themselves.
I love the sound of that, and wherever I need to sign up for it, sign me up. Let's do it. So next week, folks, let's get involved with some actionable methods that you can use this for. Until then, my final words are going to be musical memory is episodic memory. So that means it can be interrogated. Music triggers memories and ideas, so you can interrogate it. Maybe interrogate's probably too strong a word. You can talk to it. You can interview it. It's kind of the point that I wanted to make. Bob, final thoughts?
Final thoughts from Moby again, and he said, "That drop you love, it's your reward system throwing a tiny party."
Oh, that's brilliant. I'm going to have to track that down. So, folks, until then, we shall love you and leave you. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast, and we will see you again next time. All right, guys, take it easy.
I'm off to a rave.